Ο διακεκριμένος συγγραφέας και σεναριογράφος David Nicholls βρέθηκε καλεσμένος του Βρεττανικού Συμβουλίου στο πλαίσιο της 10ης Διεθνούς Έκθεσης Βιβλίου Θεσσαλονίκης που μόλις ολοκληρώθηκε. Μεταξύ άλλων, συζήτησε με φοιτητές του τμήματος κινηματογράφου του Αριστοτελείου Πανεπιστημίου για τα προβλήματα του διασκευασμένου σεναρίου. Εμείς είχαμε τη χαρά να συναντηθούμε και να θυμηθούμε το υπέροχο μυθιστόρημά του One Day που έχει μεταφραστεί ήδη σε 36 γλώσσες και έχουμε δει φυσικά και στον κινηματογράφο. Πάμε να δούμε τη συνέντευξη. How do you feel about being translated in 36 languages?
I'm amazed because the book was so much about a particular time and a particular place. It was so much about that era in England, and I had no knowledge that it would make sense outside of Britain. But it seems to be a universal idea, a universal theme, and that's a great surprise to me, but a great pleasure as well. The book is about the decisions we make and the choices we make in our lives and the different paths that our lives could take. And I think all of us have a relationship perhaps that we look back on with nostalgia, an opportunity that we didn't take. I think we all look back at our lives with regret at the mistakes we made. So I think that is universal. It is a nostalgic book, but not also a book that's quite sad about the mistakes we make in our lives. And I don't know anyone who looks back at their youth and doesn't have regrets.
Άραγε ο ίδιος έχει μετανιώσει ποτέ για κάτι?
There's that old song about je ne regrette rien, I regret nothing, and I regret everything. I regret so much about particularly about my 20s. You know, like Emma in the novel. It takes her a while to work out what she wants to do with her life, to become confident, and I feel very much like Emma about my 20s. I think I wasted a lot of time trying to be an actor, and I was a terrible actor, and I spent all of my 20s pursuing this dream, and it was the wrong dream. So I certainly have a lot of things that I look back on with embarrassment and regrets, yes.
Are there wrong dreams? I mean, we dream and we are free to dream anything we want.
I think we often, speaking personally, I think I specifically regret not doing it with more confidence. You know, I think if you have a dream and you go for it 100%, that's terrific. But for me, the thing that I loved and the thing that I most wanted to do in the world was the wrong thing. What I should have been doing was writing. And I didn't really develop the confidence to write until I was 30. Much like Emma in the novel, you know, it took me a while to think that it was acceptable and permissible to be a writer.
And then one day the phone rang and it was somebody that wanted to make your novel a big Hollywood movie.
Yeah, I've written 3 novels now, and my first novel was made into a film in Britain, and it's a really lovely film, and I'd enjoyed that process, and then this came up, and I enjoyed this too. You know, it's a very difficult process. Before I wrote novels, I wrote scripts, and when you write a novel, you sit by yourself, and it's just you. When you write a script, there's 50 people in the room, and they all have an opinion, and they all have a job, and they all feel very passionately about it. And it's much more, there's a lot more arguing, but it's also very exciting to collaborate with other people. So
how is it that you suffer from worldwide acceptance?
It's very, very exciting, but every day it doesn't really affect my life. I still try and get up every day and write. I still worry about writing. I still worry about the next book being a disaster or you know, things not working. You know, the only bad thing, it's been only a good thing. If there was one bad thing about it, it is that it's made it very hard to write the next book. I would hate to write a book that was disappointing, and I would hate the people who loved One Day to read a book and go, oh, it's not as good as One Day.
So you're cursed with that weird thing to have only success in your life. I mean...
no, exactly. I can't complain. I'm very, 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 very lucky. But I also I've also in the last 2 years found it very hard to write because you become very fearful and paranoid and anxious. But I'm over that now. I feel much better about the next book now, and the writing is going very well.
It is the desire of the benefactor that he be brought up as a gentleman in London.
What do you think?
There are conditions, of course. The first is that the name of the benefactor remain a profound secret. The second being that you always retain the name
Pim.
He has come into a handsome fortune, and he has great expectations.
You must know I have no heart.
Oh, I don't believe it.
I've been made that way.
It's my favorite book of all time. And, One Day and all my other novels I have stolen things from Great Expectations. And someone asked me if I wanted to write the film, and I was very nervous because when you love a book and you turn it into a film, you have to change it. You have to lose the things you love. But I'm really, really proud of the film. And I don't know how well Great Expectations is known in Greece, but for British people, it's one of the greatest novels of all time. And the cast is amazing. Helena Bonham Carter plays Miss Havisham, and Ralph Fiennes plays Magwitch, and Jeremy Irvine plays Pip, and I'm really pleased with it.
Do you have his number?
Jeremy Irvine?
Yes.
I do. But I can't just give you a phone number.
Oh no, why? We might be friends now.
Well, maybe. I'm sure he'd be delighted. Anyway, it's a really amazing cast, and it's very faithful to the book, but, shrunk, condensed.
So you're in a way a partner with Charles Dickens.
Yes. I mean, the great thing about writing Dickens is that he writes in a very filmic way. You read passages and it feels like a movie sequence in your head. He cuts between scenes, the dialogue is really good, there's a real sense of pace. So in many ways he's quite an easy novelist to adapt. In other ways he's incredibly hard because he's so big. The books are huge and you only have 2 hours of screen time, so you're always shrinking. But I think this is the most faithful film version that there's been of Dickens. There's very little in it that isn't in the book. It's just shrunk.
Which are the difficulties from a novel to be a movie?
Films are about what people say and what they do. And books are often about what people think and feel. A lot of what happens in a book takes place here, and it's very hard to put that on the screen. You always come back to what people say and how people act. So that's the hardest thing. The hardest thing is putting someone's internal life onto a screen. The other hard thing is just time. If you read a book aloud, it would take 10, 12, 15 hours. A film is rarely more than 90 minutes or 2 hours. So you have to be very, very economical and very tough. That's hard as well.
What's your biggest dream about writing?
I love writing fiction, and I'm also aware that it's very hard for a writer to write really well for a really long time. So for me, my biggest ambition is just to keep working, to keep being published and keep having films made, because it's very hard to do it for more than 10 or 15 or 20 years. I've been writing now since for 12 years, and some things have worked and some things haven't, but I'm pleased that I've kept going. So I just want to keep going.
Who's your favorite author?
Favorite author? I think it's Dickens. Dickens. I love Dickens, but I also really love Scott Fitzgerald. I love Gatsby, but I really, really love a novel called Tender as the Night, which I think is my favorite book now. And that's a beautiful book.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just called to let you know you are the best friend I've ever had.
I'm touched, Dex, but you're off your face.
Dexter? Dex?
You're amazing and famous.
I love you, Dexter. I just don't like you anymore.
Based on the international bestseller.
Getting married.
Yeah. The critics called a modern classic.
I missed you, Dex.
I screwed up my career. I screwed up my friendships.
That's not true.